I've been doing this long enough to see most of the mistakes people make when they're trying to heal their gut, and I wanted to share them with you today now so you don't make the same mistakes. My name's Todd Mansfield. I am a clinical herbalist here in Australia, and I have been treating digestive dysfunction for years now. I have seen thousands of patients, and I feel like I've got a big enough data set now to see these common themes, these common mistakes that people make when they're trying to approach gut healing. And kind of my goal here is to give you the information again so you don't make the same mistakes and so you can get better faster and just get back to better digestion and living your life without all these pesky and debilitating symptoms, digestive symptoms. So mistake number one would be not sticking to the plan long enough, and I have got so many examples of this. This is going to be an example heavy video because I think we can learn from where other people have gone wrong. And the really big piece here, people have all these back of the napkin kind of equations, but I would not expect quick movements if you are dealing with chronic, long-lasting digestive dysfunction. Your gut's a mess. I would not expect it to be better within a week or two. And even just recently, and that's a failure on my part because it means that I'm not kind of like explaining the process well enough. I had a patient email me. He's been dealing with digestive symptoms for 5-10 years. I can't quite remember. He's 2 weeks into the process. He's like, nothing's changed. We got to change, let's meet up, let's change it, let's order, hang on, just slow down, let the process unfold and let the recommended plan do what it's supposed to do. And I totally get it. People have been conditioned, myself included, that there's quick fixes, right? And I think that is from medicine. I think that's from our doctors. You go and see them and they give you a medication and the medication works quickly, right? Antibiotics are a great example, right? You've got a gut bug, take antibiotics for a week and you're better, right? You're not, because you're eroding that foundation. Maybe it's indicated, maybe it's not, but it's a fast kind of acting, approach. When we're talking about the complexities of the digestive tract, it is going to take some time to rebuild that foundation and to get that momentum. Now, with that said, and I don't like putting it into these neat boxes, I track progress based on the amount of herbs people have taken, not the timeline. This is really big. This is a huge pearl. Took me a while to learn this one. And so this right here at full doses would be about 5 or 6 weeks. And when people are nearing the end of the bottle, we reconnect and we say, how you going? And if they are seeing significant improvements, to me, minimum would be 30% global, digestive improvements. Maybe their bowels are better, but their bloating's not. We say globally on the digestive front, where are you? Oh, look, I'm 50% of the way there. Great. We got the right formula. We got the right plan. Everything else you're doing, rinse and repeat. We'll see you again in, 6 weeks. If someone comes back and they're like, look, nothing's changed. We say, that's unusual. Normally we'd expect to see kind of improvements here, and here. And maybe we got the formula wrong or the treatment wrong or the problem wrong. Remember, that's half your battle is finding the problem. 50% of your healing journey is finding out why you're unwell. You say, okay, well, how much of the herbs do you have left? I say, oh, look, 3/4. And this might be 6 weeks after they started the plan. And we say, okay, look, within 6 weeks, you've taken a week's worth of herbs. You have only been on the plan for 1 week. You have to take the therapeutic dose into the timeline. And it's never kind of, shaking your finger, say, take your herbs. It's, if you want to take it at this clip for whatever reason, maybe you don't tolerate it, maybe you can't fit it in, maybe you forgot to take it, maybe you need a little nudge in the right direction. If you are taking less of the therapeutic dose, you're going to have to extend the treatment plan to meet it. So if you say, look, that's a 6-week bottle. If you're going to take this over 3 months, you've only done 6 weeks of a therapy in the 3 months. So timeline's a really big piece. Stick with the right plan. We need to be seeing progress to confirm that we're on the right track, but you want to persist with treatment if you're improving until you're cured or until you plateau. And so that's always what I'm looking for and kind of like sharing with my patients. Do you feel like you're getting better, or are you on the upwards trend, or have you plateaued? And I say, oh, look, I've kind of been stuck here for a couple of weeks. I'm better, but I'm not getting any better. We say, okay, great. Let's pull apart the plan, rebuild it, and look for that next leg towards the cure. So that's number one. Problem number two that I see where patients go wrong when they're trying to treat their gut is not combining products for synergy, whether that's nutrients and herbs or probiotics and prebiotics. I like to, when I'm talking about digestive health, combine the right probiotic for the right problem. Very, very tailored. You can't just throw probiotics and hope for the best. Number two would be prebiotic fibers. I like low FODMAP prebiotic fibers to start because people's guts are kind of messed up. They can't handle high FODMAP inulin, fructooligosaccharides, etc., and herbal medicine. To me, that's the trifecta, right? And so if a patient's like, look, I've taken probiotics all day, every day, they don't do anything. What happens when we combine 3 different, approaches to do the same thing, and that synergy between the 3 picks up that progress by orders of magnitude? You get a 1 + 1 + 1 equals 10 on the results side of the equation. So that would be the active plan, herbs, prebiotics, probiotics, synergy between therapies, nutrients if you need it, enzymes if you need it, get that synergy, get that momentum, get you out of that dysfunction. There's a really great saying by a functional immunologist where he's like, you can get stuck in the wrong groove, and sometimes you need quite a strong push to get you into a more functional groove, to get you better. Once you're better, we take our foot off the accelerator and let you just kind of coast with that momentum. You don't need that active push, that active plan. So that is the second really big mistake people make when they're trying to heal their gut. The third big piece is getting stuck on the wrong root cause. So being obsessed with a certain problem. And I do see this a lot with parasites. Up here in northern rivers, it's subtropical. A lot of people are drinking rainwater, and a bunch of people have parasites, blastocystis and dientamoeba mainly. This was my problem back in the day. This is why I came to this kind of practice and this calling. I moved from a big city, Melbourne, to the middle of the rainforest and immediately got sick. Parasites, bacterial dysbiosis, my immune system, my microbiome was not equipped to deal with subtropical, unfiltered tank water. Did not know that. Big regret, but I learned a lot. And I went on this whole journey because I did a stool test through the doctor. They found blastocystis, and blinders on, treat, sharper, harder, more aggressive. And eventually I got rid of it. Got rid of the blastocystis, tested, gone. Repeat testing, gone. Did not feel better. No improvements in my symptoms until worked with a really great gut, support naturopath, digestive support. That was their specialty. And they ran a SIBO breath test and found out I had methane SIBO, treated the methane SIBO, a little bit bumpy along the way, but got great results when I found the right kind of click. Finding the problem was half the battle. I was obsessed with parasites. Getting rid of the parasites didn't improve it. You have to have the right kind of functional diagnosis. What's your problem? Then the treatment plans just write themselves. And if you are not seeing improvements on typical therapies where other people improve, did we get the problem right? It's always worth going back to the drawing board and making sure we have the right understanding on why you have digestive symptoms. Now, the fourth big mistake that people make when they're trying to heal their gut would be not using the right data. And so this can come back to getting the wrong kind of understanding and the wrong root cause driver. But to me, I look at it from a simpler kind of, big picture approach. I find simpler is better, especially when you're trying to kind of explain complicated topics, which hopefully I'm doing well. Let me know in the comments below if this is making sense. And the big piece here, when we're talking about data sets, I like to think about objective data, which would basically just be lab results, right? And so choosing the right lab test to get the right functional diagnosis, to kind of get the right treatment plan to get you better is part of the process. That's why one-on-one is really the only way that I've found this to work. Courses maybe, we'll talk about kind of surface level courses, but people will often email me, they say, oh, I got a booking with you in a month, 6 weeks, that was your first booking. What tests do I run? I have no idea. I don't know your case. I don't know your symptoms. And if we ran every test in the book, you'd walk away with $4,000, $5,000 worth of lab testing, and 3/4 of them would be completely useless because they are not specific for your problem. And so objective data, SIBO breath testing, stool testing, I use a ton of both of them, organic acids testing, if there's any evidence of fungal or, kind of bigger picture dysfunction. Those are the 3 really big ones. And then I do review blood testing from people's local doctors. We're looking for just obvious nutrient deficiencies and kind of patterns of dysfunction there. And then the piece that we're kind of missing and we haven't talked about there is subjective data. How do you feel? What are your symptoms? Tell me how things are progressing or not. How are things moving? And you get objective and subjective. Then you get the recommendations. And then you get results or not. Mistakes, have we made a mistake? Go back to it, or are we getting progress? And then you come back to number 1 and 2, maintain it and get synergy. Now, number 5, mistakes. And I know this is going on a little bit, but these are all just huge mistakes that people are making. So hopefully this isn't kind of too long-winded, but the 5th big mistake that people make when they're trying to heal their gut is neglecting the maintenance plan. And this is something that can keep me up at night when a patient of mine is like, we're there, I'm better, I'll see you never, I'll reach out to you if things come up, but if you don't hear from me, just assume I'm doing well. Off they go. 3 months later, 6 months later, 12 months later, they come back and they're like, all of my symptoms are back 100%. And so I am very clear now on describing and explaining and recommending a maintenance plan after people have gone through this whole active process of treating their gut. So I'm aiming for, and if there's a patient watching this, they'll be kind of sick of hearing this, but because I'm a big fan of kind of articulating this. I'm aiming for about 85-90% from baseline. As bad as it gets, that's 0%. 100% is totally cured. If you're reporting, look, I'm about 85-90% from as bad as it gets in my global digestive health function, I'm taking the foot off the accelerator and I'm moving towards a maintenance plan to keep you there and keep you from regressing, and also just to slowly chip away at that last 10-15%. And the big kind of dialogue there and kind of conversation there is the law of diminishing returns starts to kick in there. And so you could kind of hammer and get to that, plateau. And if you kept hammering at that clip, you just don't see the results that you'd expect to see. And people will come back after 6 weeks and they're like, look, I'm still at 85-90%, nothing's really changed. Once we get you there, we just start dialing in those last big pieces. How much is better sleep gonna help? How much is better nutrition gonna help? How much is better mindfulness, exercise, just some probiotics, just little tweaks to get you to that 100 and to hold you there. If people start to slide, they get to that 85 and they start to slide back, Let's say, oh, look, now I'm back at kind of 65 and oh, my constipation's starting to come back. We want to push quite hard with the therapy that got them to that plateau. That is like the biggest pearl that I can share with you. And I call it, to my patients, I call it your get out of jail free card. And so when we find the plan that's like, that was it, I'm there, that got me there, we basically just print it, laminate it, file it, they have it, we have it. And if something comes up in 6 months or 6 years, they just like, give me that plan, send me the plan and run it. And when it works once, it's likely to work twice. So far we've covered 5 big mistakes that people make when they are trying to treat their gut. These are common mistakes. And the 6th mistake that I see all the time, this is like so common, and you might be making this now. It's incredibly controversial. I'm happy to be controversial because I have been doing this long enough to have personal experience. You can watch as many YouTubes as you want. You can learn from the master. You can read as many textbooks. You can get as informed as you want. Boots on the ground, what helps, what works, what doesn't. That is the most valuable experience, the clinical experience that I've kind of gained with this large patient population that I've kind of supported. And so the biggest controversial mistake that people are making is they are trying to treat their gut with diet. They're looking for diet and dietary modulations and a diet plan and the right diet to fix their digestive symptoms. And if you have been dealing with chronic digestive symptoms for longer than, say, a year, it's kind of my benchmark, it is unlikely that a diet is going to get you to the finish line. I know that's controversial. That's probably, you're shaking your head like, what is he talking about? But the biggest piece right there for me, obviously in the context of a whole foods diet, that's really important. Don't eat junk, don't eat fast food, don't, drink, soda pop, and don't eat lollies and candies and whatever. Whole foods diet, that's the context. And balancing the macros, right? Maybe reducing some of the simpler carbs, bumping up the fats, bumping up the protein. In the context of a whole food diet with chronic digestive health symptoms, I would be looking to reduce obvious triggers to foods that you eat. So you say, look, I'll eat FODMAPs, I'll get bloated and distended, this, and this, I can't do it. Best to keep off them while we actively treat the gut for the problem that we've discovered using the correct data set, which we just talked about. And so people are looking for diet to be curative. And it's just unlikely that that's going to be curative for you. And the biggest kind of, experience that I had that just like burnt this into my brain was a patient who I worked with years ago. She went low FODMAP, strictly low FODMAP for 7 years. Every time she touched a FODMAP, she would blow up, bloated, gas pain, digestive issues, loose stools. So it sounds like SIBO. Ran a SIBO breath test, and after 7 years of strict low FODMAP, she had extreme small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. Treated it, she got better, and we improved her tolerance to FODMAPs. And so if there are foods that you don't tolerate, the big ones for me would be things like gluten, things like dairy, particularly lactose, and then sugar. Those are the 3 kind of evils that I say, look, best to stay off them while we treat your gut. And then as we go down, if there are foods that you're eating that don't make you feel good, don't eat them while we run you through the active treatment. That's the most important thing. To me, they're standalone. In the context of a whole foods diet, that's your foundation that you can fall back on to maintain your program, but don't make the same mistake that so many people make, expecting or looking for the right diet to be the cure for your digestive health issues. If your gut, if your body cannot tolerate foods that everyone else is eating, it's not the food, it's the gut. Treat the gut, improve tolerance to food, keep it whole foods, and move on towards resolution and improvements in digestive symptoms. So hopefully that was helpful. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. That helps me grow the channel, reach more people. And if you're looking for digestive health support and you're living in Australia or New Zealand, then there will be a booking link in the description below.